Hello, and welcome. Folks, welcome to ThursdAI. This is Alex Volcom. I'm here with Swyx. I'm here with Wolfram. How are you guys doing? We're Thursday, April 9th, in a very unusual time for us. It's only 8 a.m. Can you believe it? In San Francisco, in Pacific. But it is...
It's the only way you get me to wake up for ThursdAI is
it's doing it in Europe time. So now it's 4 o'clock where we are. We're actually live streaming to you for the first time from Europe. This is ThursdAI coming to you live from AI Engineer Europe. And I have the founder of AI Engineer, his Swyx. Not your first time on ThursdAI. Many times. ThursdAI owes a big, great a debt to you specifically.
You give me too much credit, man.
No, I will say this, and I said this before, but many new listeners are joining now for us as well. Yeah. The first AI Engineer, the first of these conferences that you organized was when I was going there to cover. I had a badge, it said media on it. And the Uber driver on the way there asked me what I do. And I was like, I have a podcast. This is the first time that I allowed myself to actually...
the identity change is when it becomes real.
So it felt really real. And so we covered the first one. And I talked to you back then. We've grown so much. Yeah. So for folks who are just tuning in, Swyx, founder of Latent Space, co-host of Latent Space, founder of Small AI, the newsletter, founder of AI Engineer Summit.
Yeah. So Small AI was sort of absorbed into Cognition, but now and the newsletter has been absorbed into Latent Space. So we sort of split things up there.
You're consolidating?
Consolidating a bit. Small AI will come back in a new form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens after AIE, but right now the focus is AIE.
Focus is AIE. We're the first time in London.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of questions for you. So one of the things that people came up to me right here saying, "Hey, Alex, we listen to the show." What we love about the show is that when you guys banter and you kind of bring whatever happens in San Francisco to us because we're not there. AIE for me is a lot of that. AIE for me, the hallway track, for example, for folks who don't know what the hallway track is, it's not an official track. People just walk around, talk to others.
It is the official track tomorrow.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're over-learning the term, but I always like conferences who let the attendees also speak.
Yeah.
So everyone from now till midnight. Whoa. Something happened.
Yeah, somebody joined. That's on. Yeah, we'll take it though. That's okay.
Okay. From now until midnight, attendees can submit talk proposals, and whoever gets the most votes, they'll get selected to speak tomorrow on stage.
That's great. I told him to submit as well.
Wolfbench.
You'll review. So the hallway track is where we also kind of learn what people that are not outside the bubble kind of like feeling, what they're doing, what they're using. So I would love to chat with you briefly. I know that at some point you're gonna have to go back up on stage.
Yeah.
But for now, first of all, the staple of AIE for me is the speaker dinner. It was incredible. There's like so many people that I knew already from previous ones. So many new people. How about you? What the type of conversations? I know you handpick all those people. You know about what they're talking about. Would love themes from you generally, but like just the conversations. What are people using?
I mean, a lot of is cursor cooked, is Claude Code cooked, or whatever. I think actually people are looking ahead beyond that. There's a lot of discussion of OpenClaw, obviously, and how much personal agent and assistant life you can have.
Speaking of OpenClaw, we have Peter Steinberger gave a keynote opening.
Yes.
And there's a whole track.
Yeah.
Claw dedicated.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is something that I think...
I'm going to put you on the spot, brother.
What?
Do you have an OpenClaw running?
Telegram.
Were you late for it or early?
I would say okay. So I first tried it for my Latent Space Discord.
Yeah.
When it was still called CloudBot.
Yeah.
And I wasn't impressed, so I uninstalled it.
Sure.
And then I reinstalled it again after the whole it blew up. I think it's so I'm both early and late.
Yeah. Daria, my fiance, soon to be married, by the way, folks. We're following up. She went through the same thing. I installed it for her. She's like, and then after a while, after the use cases start picking up, she's like, I need this, and now she's like, I have 3 of them. They're running on the farm. That's great. Do you have a Mac Mini?
No, I have an old MacBook.
Oh, Mac.
Yeah, you don't need to buy a Mac Mini.
You don't need to buy a Mac Mini, but it's cool. So there's a full OpenClaw track right now. And
with 5 OpenClaw maintainers.
And 5 OpenClaw maintainers. One of them is going to join the show, folks. Stay with us. Vincent Koc, the number 2 maintainer after Peter Steinberger, is going to join the show very soon. We're going to grill him about every security issue. Talk to me about security, how you feel about where the security is. Peter was on stage there. and basically said, hey, we hardened it a lot since then. NVIDIA contributed. Where do you think it is right now?
I actually think, it is important that they improve it. I think it's important that he has a lot more resources to improve it right now, because it's very hard to do it as a single person. But I think also just the visibility that OpenClaw has makes it fundamentally the most rich target of attack, right? And this is something I'm trying to figure out. Like, does being open source and popular make it more secure or less secure? Because it's more secure because everyone can see the code, and the moment there's a bug, they fix it, whatever. But it's less secure because it becomes a very high value target.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He mentioned something on stage, and I want to move to other topics as well. But like Peter mentioned something on stage. And folks, by the way, everything we're talking about is live streamed on the AI Engineer YouTube, which is happening right now because there's talks right now that are happening. So if you feel like you're missing out, you can definitely tune into the live stream, scroll a little bit back, and see Peter talking about everything I'm talking about as well. Great connection of talks. Peter mentioned that the nation state tried to attack OpenClaw. Did you see this with
Korea
the NPM attack?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think they're also compromising Light LLM and Axios and all these things. So OpenClaw is only the latest in a series of compromises, and it's getting easier. And so I think like one of those things of cyber warfare, it used to be more theoretical, more like, oh, it will never affect me. Now it's really starting to come home.
It fits into the Mythos and classing topics we have also on the list for today.
Yeah. I mean, Mythos is announced. It's okay. You know, like you can have it. Great.
We as people can have it. If you're a company, a big company, we're gonna talk about Mythos, folks. Anthropic's latest
I was thinking,
preview.
Okay, if you grant like Microsoft, Amazon, IBM, all these, it's kind of released, right? Like, at least let's call it 400,000 people have access to Mythos.
Yes.
So it's not too dangerous for me.
And apparently Mythos can break through sandboxes, apparently. So folks, we're going to tell you all about this. This is just a pre-show because Swyx needs to run, and we're from AIE, and like I really want to talk to you about AIE. But we're going to talk to you about Claude Mythos, which is a new preview of Anthropic's biggest model, Opus's biggest brother, that's very good at cybersecurity, that freaks people out. And we're going to definitely like mention this in a moment. Swyx, other trends from AI engineers. So the way that I ask you about this, and then I put you on the spot, is you usually curate the tracks, not necessarily the speakers, but also the tracks according to what's happening.
Yeah.
Here's what the fuck happened the past 3 years, 3.5 years almost, of AI engineers in general. I don't know if you expected this. AI engineer was a term, and then every engineer became an AI engineer. Like, if you're not an AI engineer right now, if you're not using these tools, you're like not gonna make your way behind. So what is top of mind of AI engineers that are essentially all engineers at this point? Is token count? I know you talked about token count as a metric. Is harness engineering, context engineering? Tell us like what.
Okay, so first of all, I actually disagree that every engineer should be an AI engineer.
Ooh,
I said this in my original blog post about it. If you're a database guy, if you're an operating systems guy, if you're like a game dev, like you don't have to be an AI engineer, and I think that's totally okay. I think it's just like the average product engineer building B2B SaaS. Obviously you should be embracing AI. So my work is the curation, and the focus today is obviously OpenClaw and harness engineering. I think harness engineering, people still are sleeping on it somewhat, even though it's like relatively popular. I do think that the very obvious trend is towards the dark factories, the extremely parallel multi-agent thing that will probably kill GitHub and Git someday in some unknown way.
GitHub is struggling.
I mean, obviously they're here, and they would strongly disagree. I think like it is definitely undeniable that the load that GitHub has had from agents is unprecedented.
Wait,
it was never designed for this.
You think they'll disagree with the statement that GitHub is struggling, given that they, for the first time in the decade, got down from 999 reliability to like 9.8?
I mean, I would say that they're. You don't see the other side of the story, which is the insane load that they have.
Oh no, absolutely,
So like, it's easy to criticize when you're not involved in maintaining a scaling system, and it is scaling like it is a startup again.
Wow. Okay.
Like for it was a startup in 2013, 14, and then it kind of got bought by Microsoft and it was kind of stable. Now it's scaling again, like in the old days,
Yes.
right? And show me a young startup that has that scale and has higher than 90% reliability.
I can now even look at Anthropic with
So like let if you're without sin, you can throw the stones.
Yep.
And I think like harness engineering is very important, but also like voice and vision is a key theme for people, and like all these tracks that I curate are basically my choices for like here's the things that people should be focusing on for this, because I really care about the combination of impact but also timing, and sometimes you can be right directionally but too early or too late, and then it's not as useful for you. So I really try to make this everything like useful in the sense that you should be working on this today, the time is right, the fundamentals are there, and this is going to be a big trend.
Here's my thesis. Would love to run this by you on the show to see. Many people try to predict what's going to change. So when Claude Mythos released, people are like, "Oh, security is going to change forever, etc." Because like it can break things, etc. Sometimes it's prudent to try to estimate what's not changing. In my estimation, here's what's not going to change in the year. There's still going to be intelligences. They're still going to be harnessed by some harness, and people will still have to do some context engineering around those to build like tool use as well. Do you agree with this like assessment of like this is the three pillars of agentic AI, whatever, they will not go away? Or do you foresee like harness disappearing into the model at some point, or context disappearing into the harness at some point?
No, I think the big labs have shown that they are investing more and more in harness. And in all that. So no, I don't think it'll go away. Yeah.
Yep.
I think maybe the thing that is interesting is that more and more is being consumed by skills, and I think something I think of like that's very special about skills is that it is just English, and like it really calls back to Andre Karpathy's observation that English is the hardest new programming language, and it's probably like the ultimate endpoint of how we want to communicate with machines.
It's just English with scripts. This is the scary part of skills. Like they can download scripts and people don't even know about this. This is we had a conversation with the MCP UI folks, Liad and Ido, who like were our guests on the pod, and a few other MCP folks here. David Soriapara here is also here from Anthropic, who like came up with MCP, right? The amount of time somebody came up to us like, "Hey, is MCP dead?" And they're like, "I don't want to revive this." The kind of the difference between skills and MCP. Again, conversations from the whole track. This is what we're gonna bring to you. Is skills are a very vast area of attack. Because you download a skill and it downloads like files and
you should maintain your own library and only use the stuff that you have personally reviewed, right?
So not like skill repositories, you mean like personal skill repositories?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a strong believer in that. This all like LLM and Axios security issues makes me think that you should just vendor everything by doing a slop fork of everything. So like basically anytime you want to import something, you don't like npm install, you don't pip install, you say pip fork, and pip rebuild.
And your Mythos 2.0 just rewrites everything.
You rewrite the whole thing, but you own the whole code, and it's only the parts that you use. You throw out the parts that you don't use, so it's guaranteed to be smaller.
This is a very interesting kind of like concept of what happens when code is free. I think Ryan Popolo talked about this from OpenAI on stage. What happens when you
more should be in zero dependency. Your dependency tree should be a lot smaller now. And the only reason you're not is because you haven't really explored, or we don't have the tooling to cheaply clone things for and customize for our own use cases.
Do you see the pull request needs to be renamed to prompt request, and instead of giving you code, people just give you prompts, and then your agent will build it in a secure way.
Just the other, I was just talking with someone else who they also just shut their PR contributions page because they don't want any PRs. They just want issues, and then they'll just decide what to prompt, right?
Yep. Swyx, we know you have to run. I have 1 or 2 more minutes with you. For folks who are not tuned into the live show yet, tomorrow is another set of talks. There's keynotes, etc. What should folks watch out for? What is interesting? I know like all of the kids are your favorite kids. It's like asking for the biggest favorite kids, but like
I have to make choices, right? Basically, the venue dictates that what I should place in what size of room, and then I have to make bets on what do people want to hear, what would be the most popular, and people get very upset at me whenever I get anything wrong in either direction. So I mean, MCP. Still, like, you cannot come to London and not host David and have an MCP track. And honestly, we have some of the biggest contributors here, right?
Yeah.
The Web MCP people, GitHub MCP, Chrome DevTools MCP.
Yep.
Like some of the most solid contributions in the past year, and that's my goal to sort of.
So not dead.
Not dead.
Not dead.
No, actually, like the most successful protocol for integration of anything. It's beat OpenAPI. It's beat TRPC, gRPC.
Yeah.
All these things. So MCP has been enormously successful. It's just now like more settled and stable, and therefore less interesting.
The thing that I learned from Ido, by the way, one of the Liad and Ido, that Anthropic, when it shows you like dynamic things, that's also like MCP UI or MCP apps.
Yeah.
Even when Anthropic like builds a dynamic UI for you, they do it via the MCP apps format, and I'm like, oh, that's super cool. That's super cool.
Yeah. And then there's actually a special Anthropic talk at the end of the MCP track.
Oh.
Where they talk about how Anthropic uses MCP internally using the MCP gateway, which I think people don't understand the degree at which Anthropic dogfoods MCP. It is how most internal services are run. Is using MCP.
Oh wow.
So I think that gateway pattern, I prompted the guy to like really go hard on like promoting this pattern, because I've seen a lot of enterprises adopt.
What's the name? Do you remember?
Sampath something.
Yeah. Okay. So folks, check out the schedule.
The Anthropic talk on MCP. There's not
tomorrow on Friday.
Yeah. He's the closing keynote. So and then the other one is coding agents. Last year is the year of coding agents.
Yes.
And this year we have more Cursor.
What is this year?
More Factory. I think like
proactive?
super long running. I think I don't like the word proactive. To
Tell
be
me
honest.
why not?
Proactive is just coding agent on a cron job. That's proactive, right? Like it's not really it's not really that interesting. I think people get overexcited because they think that it's going to solve all their problems for you. No, it's probably just going to annoy you a bit more. I think like more autonomy and more speed are kind of like the two themes that I talked about. A lot of people like my semi-async value of depth chart, where basically like there's if you're in the middle, it's like not fast enough for you to really maintain your focus because you're going to get distracted, and it's not capable enough that you can just delegate and walk away. And so you want either super fast or you want super capable and long running.
So if you're waiting,
there's no room in the middle.
Yeah.
So we have talks on both. We have GPUs and infra. We have AI architects for the more senior leaders who are running orgs of AI engineers and how to manage, how to hire, how to scale them. And then generative media. And this is why this is something I moved towards last year, which is that I no longer have a multimodality track. Because what the fuck is multimodality?
Yep.
We have voice and vision, which is more practical, and then we have generative image, video, music, which is more artistic. And why should you mesh vision and voice, which are so practical, versus art?
That's true.
It makes no sense. So we no longer have any multimodality tracks. We only have one of the two extremes. Yeah. And I think that makes more sense.
And we have news for you about most of the stuff that he said. With like GPT Image 2 is supposedly coming out soon. Seedance 2 is available on Replicate and in the US now. Seedance 2, full Seedance with video upload and everything.
If you can commit $1 million.
No, you can go to Replicate. Replicate committed $1 million, so you can go via their API. So yeah, it's available. And also, there's a new video model that's supposedly beating Seedance 2 already from Alibaba that I'm going to tell you about.
Cannot keep up. Yeah.
This is why ThursdAI exists. So you don't have to keep up. We keep up for you. Swyx, one last thing. There's a famous street in London, and there's a very specific house on that street under number 10, where the PM resides for all of Britain. And you had a picture, you and a bunch of other AI folks. Steve Ruiz, TL Draw, who's also here, a great dude. He's like, thank you, JavaScript. And he was like standing there. Why the fudge were all of you standing in front of the PM's house?
The chief AI officer of the UK reached out and said that he's trying to get the government more involved in AI, hire AI engineers, and also just modernize the government, which I think we're all in favor of.
That was great.
And so they sent out some invites to some folks, and then we all went there to have tea.
How was the tea?
Yeah, tea was good. Larry the cat was the main celebrity there.
Oh wow!
But there was the UK PM advisor. Raya Hatzel was our DeepMind keynote. She's VP of Research at DeepMind.
Yeah.
Also UK ambassador for AI.
Oh okay.
And mostly I think there's this like cultural exchange and a demonstration that the UK government is very committed to growing the AI scene here in London, but also to try to hire.
DeepMind is originally from here.
Yeah.
There's the office of Anthropic opened one, and there's a great video in the beginning of this that showed like why, and it's really cool. I talked to a bunch of people. They're like a bunch of London native folks, and generally in Europe, and especially now with Peter and Mario from Pi and like all these folks.
Yes,
they're bringing the agentic like.
It could not have
revolution.
worked out better. Like the timing of this Austrian crew
Yes.
taking over AI is very appropriate that we're launching our Europe conference.
Yeah.
And I think AI tends to be very US centric, very San Francisco centric, and really good work is done everywhere else. And sometimes you just need to shine the light on the work that they do. So we are a very US centric audience, but hopefully AIE Europe can bring the best of Europe to the rest of the world.
Yeah. Oh, Swyx, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for running this conference. We know
Thanks
you
for
have
doing
to
this.
run,
Yeah.
and he's
got to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're getting interrupted by the other co-founder of AI Engineer, Ben, who came to grab Swyx.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
And folks, tune into the tomorrow's live show. And generally, you sold out too quickly. There's too little space. We need more.
This thing sold out 4 times as fast as any of the other conferences.
Right,
So
go
we
work,
need to be
man.
bigger.
Go work.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
for joining us.
Bye.
Headphones. All right, folks, you heard from Swyx on ThursdAI Live. We're going to do a TLDR. We're going to tell you about the news. And then we also have a few more guests here. Wolfram?
I'm here.
How's the event for you? This is your first AI engineer?
Yeah, definitely. Great to be here in London after 30 years again. And the vibes, they remind me of San Francisco, actually. Here it's a conference. We have the energy, the people, and the talks. So it's amazing to be here. And yeah, everybody should be here.
Yeah. You, so I went to a speaker dinner. You went to the ClawCon yesterday, like with Peter and like a bunch of other folks. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I was happy to get in because we had 800 registrations, or even 900, I was told. And it was first come, first serve. And fortunately, I was one of the earlier ones to get in. And I met Peter for the first time. And yeah, we had a great talk. Basically, it was an amazing event. Nice to meet the people and a lot of speakers. So it's a big thing, the ClawCon. Yeah.
Yeah, this is great. We also have, our regular co-hosts. I'm going to add you guys super quick. And hopefully folks will see us. Hey, Yam, hey, Nistan, hey, LDJ, what's up, folks? We're going to do a TLDR super quick, but I wanted to hear one thing in AI for you. What is the most important thing? We're kind of like busy with the show. The notes and everything, they have everything, but like, give us one thing that's most important. Yam looks
Mythos. I took it. It's mine. Claude Mythos. It's mine.
My end. Thank you. Yeah. Can you say again?
Come on, you didn't get this. Claude Mythos. Claude Mythos. That's the thing. That's mine. I took it away from the others. Claude Mythos is one thing in AI this week is Claude Mythos.
And we're going to definitely talk about this. We have Peter Gostev from Arena, the Arena.ai, joining us in a few moments. Give us 2 more minutes and then I'll call you. Joining us in 2 moments to talk about also Claude Mythos. He did like a great review of Claude Mythos Evals. LDJ, Nistan, how about you guys? What is the one thing that's most important for us to cover? You cannot say Mythos because Yam already said.
LDJ? Or I'll go since I'm on. Or you can go.
Okay, I'll go. Not think this is necessarily the best release, but I think it's interesting time-wise and kind of most unexpected is the Muse Spark model from Meta that just released.
The Spark model from MSL at Meta Super Intelligence Labs, the first one after they rebuilt everything. Definitely going to cover this as well. Yeah, that's dope. Nistan, yours, please.
This is a random one. It's the Carnus 27B. They trained a model specifically for use with Hermes, and I think they trained it on the actual Opus API. And
I don't have this in my show notes. Nistan always brings us stuff to do.
I love it. I just see a great future in this where the actual tools are paired with a model that you can run on like a 3090. And the training for that model is built to be used with the tool. I mean, that's what Claude Code is. But we haven't seen a lot of that is portable. And this is a big deal to me because it is now becoming the whole stack. As this model goes with this tool and you run it privately and you can have your cake and eat it too. And it does most of the work. And if you need something harder, then you can use Opus, or you can fire up, you can just remote control it via the desktop. There's so many ways. So yeah, this is the future.
All
I
right.
see the models and the harnesses being paired together, and this is one of the first one that's actually good.
All right, folks, we need to bring our guest here, the next guest. We have a bunch of guests joining the show. Peter Gostev. Yeah, I know you have a comment. While Peter puts up headphones, feel free to jump in here. But please, super quick.
Nistan, you just want to distill. Come on.
You
just want to distill. Come on. It's fine. You can say it.
I want full control over what the model is, what the hardware is, and I want it to actually be good, because now it finally sort of is. Before I give it my banking and all my emails.
So
all righty, folks. We have. So thank you guys. I'm gonna take you off, but feel free to write me in the comments if you have a comment. We'll bring you on. Please stay with us. Everybody, please say hi to Peter Gostev. Peter, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Please come closer to the mic so folks can hear you. You're a soft-spoken dude. We featured your stuff on the show multiple times before as your pseudonym before it. If folks don't remember Amoeba GPT, you were doing a bunch of animations about Arena, LM Arena, and how models progress and how evals are changing, etc. And now you work at Arena.
Yeah.
But your first time on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us.
Look, I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. So excited to be here.
Yep. So, folks, we usually start with the TLDR. We tell you everything that happened. We kind of ran through some of them with Swyx and the folks. Peter's going to join us. Specifically, I would love to hear your thoughts about Mythos because you did some stuff. But first, I'm going to go to TLDR to tell you about everything that happened in the world of AI, at least everything that's important, because I know that many of you, this is why you joined ThursdAI, for the TLDR. So we'll do a TLDR for a few minutes, and then we'll tell you. All right, we're back. This is the TLDR for ThursdAI live from London on April 9th with me, Wolfram Ravenwolf, Peter Gostev, our friend. We had Swyx before. We have 3 more guests on the show from OpenClaw, from OpenAI, and from DeepMind. And this is the news for this week that you may have missed. The most important piece of news that you may have missed is Anthropic released a blog post plus a preview of their new model, the rumored model called Anthropic released a preview of their new model called Mythos. Mythos was not released to the public. It was deemed too dangerous to release to the public, but they have released it under Project Glasswing to multiple big companies that will basically use these models' crazy cybersecurity capabilities to test and penetrate their own software before it's released to the public, so they will be safe and make us safer. Mythos is going around. This is the number one thing. Yam referenced it to before, that this is like the most important thing that happened in AI, besides AI Engineer in London this week. So we'll talk about Mythos now with Peter, but it's very interesting. In addition to this, Anthropic in the same blog post said that they are now a $30 billion ARR company, $30 billion ARR company, which is insane, because we just in February, we told you they just passed 19 billion. So they ranked up like 10 billion in ARR in what, a month? Which is absolutely insane. They said they have more than 1,000 companies that pay over $1 million a month, which is absolutely crazy. Okay, so we're going to talk about Anthropic before their IPO. 30 billion ARR is crazy. Folks, we have another breaking news from Meta. If you guys remember Meta, Llama is dead, so long dead. But Meta released their first MSL, Meta Superintelligence Labs, we told you about, under Alexander Wang and a bunch of researchers. They paid over $100 million per year to, with the crazy numbers we didn't believe. They finally released something. It's called Muse. Muse Spark specifically is the smaller of the model based on their new foundation. And it's pretty cool. It's not the best. It's not beating like 4.6 Opals, but given that, they built everything from scratch in 8 months, it's fairly impressive. So we're going to chat about this a little bit as well. Simon Wilson did a very nice deep dive into this. Our friends from ZAI released GLM 5.1, continuing on the trend of Chinese companies that don't release open source immediately, but release some preview in their API, run this, and then open source after a while. So GLM is pretty good. We tested GLM 5 before, and GLM 5.1 seems very, very interesting on coding. It's number 1 on open source on Swybench Pro at 58%, and runs autonomously supposedly for 8 hours. We need to test it in our harnesses still. Gemma 4, Omar Sansivero from the DeepMind team is going to join here. Crossed 10 million downloads since we told you last week, which is unprecedented for open source. Good job, folks. We really, really applaud this. supposedly, you can't say anything because you work at a company that probably got access to it, but supposedly OpenAI is training GPT Image 2 and testing it in the wild now. So people started noticing like a hidden image on Arena called masking tape, gaffer tape, and packing tape. No response from the Arena representative here. This is in my notes. It's not really, I didn't even know that you're going to be here when I talked about this. And it looks cool. It's potentially a killer for Nano Banana Pro. You should know this. Another model is being tested right now that's also like making waves, called HappyHorse. It's a mystery #1 video model. The ex-Kling at Alibaba team, somehow it leaked. So the ex-Kling team in Alibaba is putting this model. At some places, artificial analysis, not necessarily for you guys, this model is beating Seedance 2 from ByteDance, which is previously like a crazy model. Speaking of Seedance 2, by the way, it's finally available in the US in the API and replicate.com. Shout out to Replicate under Cloudflare and in CapCut. So now you can finally use all those crazy movies that you see. By the way, I don't know if you guys saw the Harry Potter drip thing, drip words. Did you guys see this? So if you're not following Twitter as much as we do, the most hypey, crazy thing that's happening right now in the world of like fake AI video slop is somebody rebuilding Hogwarts and Harry Potter like ecosystem with drip words. It's really funny. I'm gonna put a few clips in the show notes for you to just laugh with me. It's just hilarious. It's really good, and I think it's done with Seedance as well. In the weirdest news ever, and we're gonna get there soon. We have like 2 more items. Mila Jovovich from The Fifth Element and the Resident Evil series, the Hollywood actress, and a dude named Ben Sigmund, they have claimed to release the top state-of-the-art open source memory agentic thing. I will say this again, a Hollywood actress and her crypto friend used Claude to vibe code a memory agentic thing. What the fuck? They have a GitHub and everything. It's like literally github.com/Mila-Jovovich. It's really funny. Lilu Dallas MemPalace. Okay, we'll move on. OpenClaw released a version 2026 4.5 with Dreaming. We're gonna bring Vincent Koc, one of the top maintainers of OpenClaw, to chat about this as well with us. Cursor remote agent. Oh no, I had a breaking news thing from Vibu that we talked about. Anthropic released also the managed agent infrastructure. It's agent and runtime and infrastructure fully hosted on Anthropic. We haven't had a chance to chat with it or try it, but supposedly it's very big news. They want to sell agents, not only APIs and models. So that's like a big thing that happened this week as well. And I think in this week's buzz, which is the last piece about weights and biases, folks, we shipped automations, which is a great way for you to run automation and get a notification about anything that happened on your run on WB models. And GLM 5.1 and Gemma 4 are both available on our inference service. So please do check them out on w1b.ai/inference. I think that's it. That's the TLDR.
Yeah, is it worth? I can add a couple more points.
Yes, please.
In there. So you mentioned JLM 5.1.
Yes, sir.
So I haven't tested it on these super long-running tasks. So I think that's fair enough to put that aside.
Yeah.
I did do kind of one-shot tests. So I would say it's, in my testing, it's like a little bit better than 0.5, or rather 5, the full version.
Yeah.
But it's not like miles better. So it's like a little bit of an upgrade. But yeah, when you see these numbers, so it's like beating Opus or something, like it's probably not.
Yeah.
But so that's one. Then Gemma 4, we also did the score on the Arena for this, and they did really well considering the size. It's like really impressive. So we also published like a Pareto curve, and they do like really well. They just like smashed a lot of models that were like just on the Pareto, and they jumped them. So that was really good. And then we also released the score of Seedance text to video.
Seedance 2.0.
Yeah. And it's like the jump, I can't quite remember. I think it's like 80 points higher, which is massive. Like previously, all the models were kind of clustered together, maybe 10 points apart, and this one is 80 points higher.
On top of which one? Or Vio?
Yeah, I think Vio 3.1 is the next one. Yeah. And I would say the way it feels to use Seedance is that it feels much more like a better version of Sora. And what I mean by this is that Sora was very good at kind of taking your idea and like making multiple cards and making a little story out of it.
Yeah.
So it had kind of also reasoning element to it. But Vio was much more just like, give me a prompt and I will just literally do what you say, like really well. But it wasn't that creative. And I think that's why you're seeing those interesting stories come up, what you mentioned with like Harry Potter and things. is because I think it's much easier for people to just to put in like roughly a good idea, and then the model kind of takes over.
It also takes as input videos and does video transfer, which I think previous model. I don't think the VO. It probably technically can, but they didn't expose this via API, so VO doesn't like let you put a video in, and then it takes those likenesses. So Seedance is like really cool, folks. It's finally available. You should test it out. I'm getting some pings about the live show format. Sorry that your microphone is like covering your face. Any chance that we can ask our friends here to like reposition the mic so that it doesn't cover his face? Is that possible? So while we do this, Peter, I'm going to talk to you about Arena.
Yeah.
Because every time that I heard you introduce yourself as I'm from Arena, you had to say, "Oh, previously LM Arena." I'll cover the air. Don't worry, I'll keep talking. You have for a living here. This is amazing. Yeah, thank you. So tell us about where Arena is right now. What you're doing in there. Tell us cool interesting things. I think there's this open source data set of like tests as well.
Yeah. So what? If I can move this. So
we can hear you great.
Yeah, perfect. So so what we try and do, we collate a lot of data from the users, and lots of users come and test the models when new models come out, and it's really cool, very exciting.
Yeah.
And the one benefit that we get is that we get a lot of data over multiple years. And what we try and do in a sensible, sensitive way, we release data as much as we can. So we've got a nice data, a bunch of data sets on Hugging Face, so you can go check them out. One thing that we released was that, you mentioned I was doing these kind of overtime leaderboards.
Yeah.
So the way I was doing this, I was literally going on the Arena website, like scraping it by hand and like adding it to Google Sheets. Like it was kind of dumb.
And now you have access to
it. So, one nice perk of joining and working for a company like this is that I get access to the Databricks and I can just do it.
Yeah.
But now we published all of the scores going back. So it's really nice if you just want to dig into the history of the models and how things have evolved, just go take it. It's like tell your agent to go explore it. So that's really cool. And we release other data sets as well, so you can see like actual prompts and how the models have performed.
You can answer yes, no, or I cannot comment to the next question. Have you guys tested Mythos?
Oh no. No, I can say no.
That's a very, very specific no. So the no means no, folks. But you have seen Mythos, obviously.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Mythos. Let's first define for folks what Mythos is, and then let's talk about Anthropic's Opus's Big Brother.
Yeah, so Mythos is a blog post that they ship.
Some companies do have access to Project Glasswing, but they ship the blog post,
Yeah. So I think they said about 40 companies have access, which is, I guess a way to release it. And I guess it's kind of, the reaction, I don't know, to overstate it, it's been kind of a psychosis of a lot of people kind of losing their minds of some of the results. And I think the biggest one is just the big jump in coding. You'll have the numbers better than me, but it's like I think is it Swyx Pro, the one that from Scale, which is like the harder version of the Swyx Bench. I think it jumped from like 55 to 77 or 80 or something like that.
The jumps are crazy. Like you were just talking about like the same thing with Seedance, where you see like a capability jump. I'll pull the numbers here right now, folks. This is a professional establishment. We have the run of show document. We have all the notes printed. The guests did not get their copy of the notes, which I probably should have thought. But we have 93.3 on Swyx verified, which we don't really care about because Swyx verified like everybody like stopped doing. But 77% on Swyx Pro, up from 53% in Opus 4.6. Swyx Pro is really hard. Like it's a hard benchmark. But it's not all. You gave me a link. I should probably show this somehow here about like all of the metrics that they released. Could you talk about this while I pull this up?
Yeah. So what I got one of my agents to do is to go through the 244-page document and just scrape all of the benchmarks that they've released. So you can see. It's maybe not the nicest presentation, but it's just nice to just see them on the same page. So we've got like browser comp. So this is ability to navigate the web and basically do that efficiently.
So around 10 points jump.
Yeah, so that's really nice.
Humanities less exam at 64.
And that one is interesting. So I guess when I look at the benchmarks, I always try to think like, what's driving this? Is this like a bigger model? or is this maybe like post-training or something like that? So you can't always tell, but you can kind of guess, and probably humanities last exam is probably a bigger model.
Yeah.
That's probably like a sensible assumption to make. So yeah, Gemini did really well on it. It's probably the biggest out of the other models that we have. So maybe it's like a proxy for how big the model is.
Yeah. Rumor that 10 trillion parameters. That's the rumor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I saw. The rumor is, folks. I want to highlight for folks who are watching the jump at Swybench Pro, which is a difficult version of Swybench Verified, etc. The jump from Opus 4.6 to like GPT 5.4 is like a difference between like 2 or 3%. The jump between Opus 4.6 to Mythos is more than 10%. It's like 13%, 14%. This is a massive coding model, and I think Anthropic is going all in, especially with the release that like enterprise is coding and they're focusing on cloud code, etc. Even despite the release, and the reason why they're not releasing this one is they think that this model is too dangerous to release. And for folks who kind of like, and I want your opinion on this, Wolfram, as well. For folks who didn't follow, Nicholas, not Carlini. I have the Citrini. I think no. Nicholas Carlini is one of the top researchers in the world. So again, for folks who are not following, Nicholas Carlini is one of the top security researchers in the world. He works in Anthropic. He gave a talk at Black Hat conference a week ago, where he showed that these models, especially since December and January of this year, specifically jumped in capabilities of being able to do autonomous security research that is unparalleled to any other method like fuzzing that they use, and that they crossed the level of what he trusts him to do as a security researcher. He said that previously these models paired with a security researcher were great. Now these models can find several vulnerabilities. They're not interesting on their own, but they can string them together to break through things. And I think specifically they mentioned they found bugs in OpenBSD. It's a 27-year-old bug on OpenBSD with a remote crash vulnerability, a 16-year-old bug in FFmpeg that survived 5 million automated fuzz tests. They found, like, this Mythos model found this bug, and a chained Linux kernel vulnerability into full privilege escalation with zero human steering. If this doesn't mean anything to you, that's great. Don't get too scared. But like, if you know anything about security, the top security researchers in the world saying, "Hey, it's time to wake up," and Anthropic deemed this model as too dangerous to release.
Yeah,
this could be part of marketing because there are IPOing right now. But would love to hear from you, Wolfram, what you think about this like too dangerous to release concept.
Yeah, I think that's the stance of Anthropic as a safety-focused AI company. It's a lot of role-playing, and Opus is a great model for role-playing. But the thing is, so security, I think open source is still more secure, and not releasing the model, they will release it. They spend so much money to train it. Just withholding it, that's not happening, and classifying is their first step, and then they can distill it and release other models. And basically, the model itself, the security it provides, it will make open source more secure. And the bugs are there. It's not the AI that is putting the bugs in, unless maybe in the last year AI is doing it. But these 10-year-old bugs and older, they have been there, and somebody else could have found them, or maybe found them, and we don't know. And so it's a good thing that it's open source and it's being found. And I think it should even more be for the release, that people can use it on their own software, because there are so many projects. And in our notes, we have that thousands of zero-day exploits have been found by this. Wow. But if you have a model that is just 10 times smaller, it's still 100. And if it's 100 times weaker than Mythos, it would still find 10. And 10 are enough. One is enough. One really heavy zero-day exploit. So I think this should be as open as possible, so the bugs are found and fixed. What would be useful is responsible disclosure. Basically, use it, find the bugs, report it to the maintainers, and fix it. And what do you think what the Chinese are training as well, and others? So definitely it has to be used to fix the bugs, and instead of putting it away and hoping nobody looks.
So we have, thank you, Wolfram. We have LDJ wants to add comments as well. I'll add one more comment before LDJ goes. LDJ, you need to unmute yourself apparently, because I cannot unmute you. We did hear this before. We heard before that DALL-E 2 is too dangerous to release to the public with people because the deepfakes are going to ruin the world. Nothing happened. Yeah. We're fine. We heard before that cloning somebody's voice is going to like break the psyche of old people, and everybody's going to call them with deepfakes, and is fine. Every major company already has voice cloning, and if not, open source is voice cloning that's indistinguishable from our voices. So I gotta wonder if that's kind of like that, But the vulnerability attacks of recent years, look, the supply chain attacks of Axios and LightLM is kind of scary to me as well. So would love to pose this to the audience. What do you guys think? Should Anthropic release Mythos now? Are they doing the right thing by not releasing this and only releasing this to these companies? LDJ, feel free. I'll bring you up. Feel free to unmute and tell us more context about this.
Yeah, there's a few things here. For one, I think a lot of people miss that Anthropic did actually state with this release that they do believe and plan that eventually even more powerful models than Mythos will be released to the public. Just for now, Mythos itself is not being released at the moment, and it's just being deployed to these companies for these reasons.
So the companies are AWS, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, Linux Foundation, Microsoft, NVIDIA, basically the top companies that run software in the world, right? All the operating systems, all the open source, like big foundational models, like all of these companies get access and start running these models before the general public can.
Yeah. I think another thing here too, though, is I think it's funny the people mentioning kind of, oh, this is the beginning of the permanent underclass. but if we go back to even models like I recall 03 and or 01 and even GPT-4, the original one, there's been several occasions where it's confirmed with past OpenAI models that several companies do get early access weeks or sometimes even months ahead of time of the release. And I think it's maybe we're in an era where actually those early release to partner companies is just kind of becoming more transparent, as opposed to before where it's kind of kept as a more secretive thing. And last thing I wanted to mention here on this is in the technical safety report that Anthropic released with Mythos, with the Mythos blog post, there's a really funny incident where they had the model attempt to contact one of the researchers, and they named, hey, if you do this and this, then your goal is to contact this researcher. And for the most part, they didn't really think it would be able to get it. They used the standard sandboxing techniques that you would usually do to restrict the model from even having access to the internet. And it eventually found a series of exploits, and the researcher only realized it accomplished these things while he was in the park eating a sandwich and got an email from the model.
Eating a fucking sandwich, dude. I think honestly, the fact that the Anthropic folks chose to add this to the blog, and I think they posted a retraction. Somebody told me that it's not like a full sandbox escalation thing, but the fact that they chose the sandwich thing just means that, folks, let me be just like very clear. At least some of it is marketing. Like at least some of it is, oh, oops, we're the biggest security company in the world, and we have a model that can break OpenBSD. But oops, our blog post leaked that announced this model, and then oops, Cloud Code leaked. Something here doesn't really add up for me.
You know what I tell them? Check your Soul MD what instructions you put in and fix it.
Yeah. I think on the permanent underclass thing, I think it does worry me. Like I don't want this to become a trend, because if you go back pre-GPT models at all, the way things used to work is that Google typically would say, oh, we have an AI breakthrough, here's a blog post, we will enjoy it to ourselves, you get nothing. And that was so typical. And I remember being really annoyed by just the state of the industry, where we would just literally get nothing ever. There would be I'm exaggerating a bit. There would obviously be open source models and so on, but in terms of the leading breakthroughs, there would all be blog posts. What OpenAI, I know people make fun of them, or OpenAI, you don't barely do any open source, but what they really shifted is that you can submit your credit card. At your credit card, you get an API key, you get access to frontier intelligence.
Yes.
This was not a thing before OpenAI did this. So what we had after OpenAI did this is that we had several years where everyone was expected to ship their models. So everyone was shipping their models. So Anthropic, Google started shipping their models, like everyone, right? So that was like the best time to be a user of the models. And now we might be getting back to the point where it's like, oh yes, unless you're Microsoft AWS, you're not on the list. And maybe it's normal, and maybe they just released it because it leaked. Possible, but it could be the new normal, where the frontier, normal people don't get access to the frontier intelligence.
I hear you on this, and also to kind of strengthen what you're saying. So, folks, supposedly OpenAI has a model upcoming that codenamed Spud. I think like Greg Bachman posted about this. Like it's known, and I think that they also have some security models that are less restrictive. I think even Peter Steinberg will talk about this on stage. And I think I saw an announcement that OpenAI will also have a model that is too dangerous to release.
I think that was some
bullshit,
vague reporting. Yeah, I wouldn't take that too literally. Yeah. Let's wait. But
we have LDJ that has a clarifier on this. LDJ, go ahead. Unmute. Oh, you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Axios did recently kind of report something basically like what you just described, but they added an edit and a retraction on this. Here, I have it right in front of me, actually. They said, editors note, the headline and story have been corrected to clarify that OpenAI is releasing a cybersecurity product separate from its new model to select partners, not that it's staggering the release of a new model to select companies.
And that cybersecurity product, I think that's what Peter Steinberger was talking on stage about, and that has significantly less refusals in the model's ability, because like what they're asking the model is basically, hey, hack the software. And as a user, we won't be able to ask, hey, hack the software. The model needs to do refusals, right, for us. But what they're afraid of is releasing the model and then fucking Pliny, the jailbreaker, is going to jailbreak this, and everybody's going to rip through bugs. But yeah, so they, and LDJ is saying is they confirmed it's called Aardvark, which is great.
Do you remember? It was I think it was GPT 5.3 Spark from memory, where they released it in Codex, and then I think it was some like couple of weeks when they didn't want to release it via API. And the cited reason was that it was a little too keen to hack things, so they wanted to put some extra controls. I think that was the 5.3 Codex model.
Yep. Peter, you also sent me the compute wars chart updated with Anthropic and Google deal.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this. This is the GPU deal that Anthropic announced with Google by 2027, an insane amount of dollars. I don't think I have it written here for how much, but maybe you remember that Anthropic will get TPUs from Google and not necessarily NVIDIA GPUs. Folks forget, but Anthropic has 10% of Anthropic. Folks forget, but Google has 10% of Anthropic that they like invested a long time ago, and now Anthropic will essentially have GPUs. So while I show the folks this, can you tell us like what this is about?
Yeah. So there are multiple angles to this. So one is that the reason for plotting this chart is that everything ultimately comes back. About this, some music accompaniment.
Yeah.
So everything ultimately goes back to compute. Like compute is not like completely destiny. Like you can still screw it up, but ultimately, if you don't have enough compute, then you can't do all that much.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to do, and this is kind of reconstructed from the public data that we have. So it's not correct, it's probably underestimate, but this is kind of trying to size ballpark like where they are relative to each other. And what was interesting is that there are kind of a couple of points. So one is there was a jump more recently. It looks like a lot of compute went online more recently, and it's hard to know like precisely what they were training. It could be that Opus 4.5, 4.6 benefit from this jump. So that's possible, or it could be just all of it went to Mythos, and that's why we see such a big jump. So that's possible.
You mean this jump?
Yeah,
4.1 to 4.5.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might be. We don't know the timing precisely and so on. But the point is, Anthropic didn't have that much compute, and now they had like loads more. So it could be all the Mythos story comes back to they just got more compute. There's nothing like too special apart from that point.
Yep.
The second point was that if you go later in the chart, you can see that OpenAI just like way higher than Anthropic. And this was always kind of weird. Like obviously Anthropic just going to buy more compute, but it looks like Dario was like a little bit more conservative, or actually I don't want to bet my whole company on like what's going to happen in 2029.
Yeah.
So they were a bit underspending. So it looks like they've committed and purchasing a lot more compute.
Yeah.
And again, kind of compute is very closely associated with your destiny as a company, ability to train big models, ability to inference the models. And I think that could be another angle. You know, we complaining a lot about Anthropic, like stifling OpenClaw users, like all of that, and like all of the rate limits. I know there's a lot of complaints around that.
Yep.
But I think the answer is they just don't have any compute. So maybe another kind of more banal point about Mythos is that, you know, what's the point of releasing it if your rate limit will be half a prompt, right?
So essentially, a 10 trillion parameter model that is very, very good at what it should be very, very good at, based on any scaling law that you can imagine, and based on training in RL and the trajectories that we've seen in test time compute, etc., that they cannot give us. So they could reframe this as, oh, it's too secure to give out, but they could just potentially cannot just like serve at scale.
Yeah, I think it's sounds cooler to say that it's too risky to release it rather than
in the year of IPO. This is a great reframe.
Yeah,
I'm just saying this is a great reframe in the year of IPO that the company that cannot serve a model says that the model is too risky to release.
Yeah.
Some folks are asking us about the price of Mythos. They did post the price.
Yeah.
I have it here. Wolfram, you have it here?
$25 per million input and 125 per million output tokens. So 5 times the price of Opus 4.6.
Yeah, which also means like they posted the price, but it doesn't like we can't pay for this. I posted a funny tweet about like, hey, who's running Mythos on their OpenClaw? I would like to. I don't know if I can afford it, but if there's a sponsor out there who wants to give me money to run OpenClaw on Mythos, please let me know.
And I would run it on Wolfbench, but I would need more sponsorship for that.
More sponsors.
Yeah, and I think there's a point of, okay, I think this is probably pricing like for their partners, but if they don't have compute, it like doesn't matter what the price is. They just don't have it, and I think that's the reality. We get into these numbers where they can't just like hustle their way into a couple more gigawatt of data centers. It's just not there. I think that's probably the real half a reason why they wouldn't even consider doing it. So
they need to come to CoreWeave.
Well, I think they maybe need like a few CoreWeaves to get enough compute. So yeah, I think that's certainly another maybe prosaic angle about the current situation. There's another angle with this chart and this news story about deal with Google. And I know like people say, oh, it's like, yeah, Google owns like 10% and that they've got their cloud business to grow, and if you spin out the GPU business virtually, then it's like, oh yeah, you're going to be same value as NVIDIA or thereabout. Like you can probably unlock a lot more value. But I do kind of find it weird. It's like, why don't they like their own DeepMind team? It's like, why just like you're taking TPUs,
brother? Google is a huge company. There's not one entity that's called Google, and within Google, there's like a lot of politics as well, and they need their cloud business as well to work. Yeah. Also, 10% of Anthropic. That's a lot of money that's rolling on right now. Anthropic grew from 19 billion in February to over 30 billion in ARR in April, which is just mind-boggling.
But you see, it's like, I don't know.
Do you hear this? Anthropic folks completed the secondary tender sale, where employees are incentivized to sell their shares on the secondary market for investors to come in before the IPO. Investors were hard-pressed because employees did not want to sell before the IPO. That's how bullish the folks in Anthropic believe in their company and the IPO. It's a great sign. And also, apparently, OpenAI is going to lower on the secondary markets as well. So Google is getting a lot of that from that benefit.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Like, as a person in AI enthusiast, and hope for that Google DeepMind does really well. It's like, why do I care about the shareholder value accumulation over decades? Like, come on, just believe in yourself, build the bloody AGI, don't just sell it to your competitor. I don't know, I find it quite weird, but there's a kind of history of this, that I remember this, that like a week before Gemini 2.5 Pro got released, kind of Google had pretty bad models. So I can see that their leadership was like, we're going to do this well. They literally invested, I think, 1.5 or 2 billion in Anthropic, which, by the way, okay, we are now look at Anthropic as like completely independent, very impressive company. They were pretty much just like the only option in AWS. So like if you're an AWS customer, you had either like 8B models or Anthropic. Like there was basically no other choice. And I think if AWS didn't have access to Anthropic models at the time, I think many customers would have gone. So Google was not only propping up Anthropic, competitor to DeepMind, they're also propping up AWS, competitor to Google Cloud. So I know there are like shareholder value reasons and diversification. But I just find it kind of boring. Like, I feel like you just prop up your teams, give them GPUs.
Folks, Peter, we have to, we've been up for an hour. We have to move on to this week's buzz. I want to tell folks where they can find you. Sorry about this, getting a little bit of a thing. How can folks find your work? What is Arena doing? Give us a little spiel about.
Yeah, sure. Follow Arena. We publish leaderboard updates all the time, 7 times a week. Follow Arena account. You can follow me as well if you want more spicy takes that I'm not allowed to publish on the Arena account. We try and do more interesting things apart from just here's the leaderboard. We also release data as well. So go to our Hugging Face. We're keen for people to use it and find some value in it.
Alrighty, thank you so much for coming. Cool. Thank you. And he'll be around the show. Folks, tune in for the live stream. All right, folks, we're gonna go to this week's buzz for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna have Vaibhav from OpenAI joining us. So we're gonna start with this week's buzz, and then we're gonna have VB joining us from OpenAI, a friend of the pod who's been here before. Yeah, you're gonna sit here. Yeah. All right, let's go to this week's buzz. All right, this is going to be a quick one. Wolfram, this week at Weights and Biases, what we have to tell you about is automations. You now can, in Weights and Biases models, by the way, for the machine learning engineers, you can build automations. They send you a notification where you can just go on the run and then get updates about your specific stuff. This goes very well with the iOS app that we recently released, and you should go and check it out. But more importantly, but at least as important, we have 2 new models up on an inference service. We have GLM 5.1, which is recently released from ThursdAI this week. So our team is doing really, really good work at releasing open source models. And we have Gemma 4. And Wolfram has been testing a few of them, and we'll get you some of those tests as well. And speaking of things that Wolfram will get, you posted some stuff on our blog. You want to tell people about those?
Yeah, so remember when we talked last week about how models can get dumber if you give them more time to think? I posted an in-depth article about this. So we talked about it on the show. And now on our blog at Weights and Biases, randb.com, you can take a look and read exactly what is going on. So it's more a really in-depth article, too much information to talk on the show, but detailing everything I talked about.
Reasoning is not always better, or at least more reasoning is not always better. Sometimes it gets models to overthink. And then we're definitely going to chat about this as well. We're going to put the link in the show notes for you. So please check out. Wolfram's doing a great job with Wolfbench, by the way. We've been pushing Wolfbench here to everyone. Peter Steinberger heard about Wolfbench. Folks from OpenAI are going to hear about Wolfbench in a second. Wolfbench is a really great tool. And also we heard from you, and we love hearing from you, folks. We had so many folks. So the audience for ThursdAI and the AI Engineer overlaps 100%. Everybody who joins AI Engineer is a potential listener for ThursdAI, but I think that everybody who listens to ThursdAI could come to this event and enjoy.
There are so many people here that even when I was getting in the queue, a person turned around and said, "Oh, you're Wolfram. Hi, I know you're from there." And we talked, and it's so great to meet these people here, and everybody is so enthusiastic.
And what I heard from one of you, and if you're listening to this, thank you for approaching us. The Wolfbench is one of the more unique things that we do. That we have our own evaluation tools specific. So great shout out to you, and we'll keep posting about this, and we'll get more labs to actually jump on. Shout out to Cursor back there. Cursor is a harness. We're also going to evaluate Cursor. So you guys know that we don't only evaluate models, we also evaluate harnesses with different models. So we're going to evaluate Cursor as a harness in addition to the models. So that's coming up soon. Stay tuned. This was this week's buzz, and let's chat with our friend VB. So VB, how's hugging? I'm just kidding. Folks, VB, reach _VB on Twitter. Vaibhav Shrivastas? Yeah?
That's accurate enough. Yeah.
Okay, accurate. Ouch. What's up, man? How you doing?
Pretty good. Nice to be here. Yeah, it's been a while since I was here.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Not that long. I think you came over and we talked about Codex.
All right.
I also jumped on a few of your now famous spaces with Roman, head of Devrel. And tell us about your job at OpenAI. I don't think the people. We have a bunch of new folks joining, and also would love to contextualize your job at OpenAI at what you're doing at AIE. You guys had a workshop. Would love to hear about that.
Sure. So I'm part of the developer experience team at OpenAI. I'm focused on Codex right now. So everything that you see from Codex the app, as well as Codex the CLI, as well as all the models that we ship. That's something which I help with. And at the same time, like I'm now based here in London, and helping grow an ecosystem around over here with the developer community, as well as like our startups, enterprises, and so on and so forth.
So we have to contextualize. We are a news show. The reason why we're bringing you on is, well, first of all, you're a friend of the pod for a long time, dude. You jumped in on Twitter Spaces before there was video, before the production ramped up. So hopefully you're like also enjoying kind of like the quality of production.
Definitely, yeah.
But also like way before, like Hugging Face Day. So folks definitely remember you as like one of the crazy hype people that like brings open source to the masses. So would love to just hear from you about like open source in OpenAI. But like one thing that's big, and I think you went super duper viral when the Cloud Code leak happened, and you posted, breaking, OpenAI also released a bunch of open source, and Codex was open source all along, and we made the joke. That was really funny. Tell us about Codex. You guys just hit a milestone.
Yes. So first of all, like regarding that tweet, like it was just like a tongue-in-cheek thing. Like I thought like it'll get like maybe like 5,000, 10,000 views, and it'll be it. It was just like like just pointing out the obvious that Codex, the CLI, the harness, as well as the sandbox, pretty much everything about Codex that you use either on Mac OS or Windows is fully open source. You can go on github.com/OpenAI/Codex, and you have like you can sort of build on top of that. We also have Codex app server, which you can use to sort of like interact with Codex, like the Codex IDE extension builds on top of app server.
I would love to hear about app server specifically, because it's kind of like a backwards auth that you can use your open account to use a bunch of stuff that people have been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, you can use it as like an SDK to like sort of like program around Codex, use it to send messages, receive messages, like pretty much like build experiences similar to Codex IDE extension the same way. And yeah, I mean, just generally speaking, Codex has been on a tear, right? We recently crossed a pretty massive milestone. We have 3 million weekly active users.
3 million weekly active users.
That's
just now. After 2 million weekly active users, last month, like in the middle of this month, or something.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. It's even within OpenAI, like you can see like the sort of like growth and like the uptick of Codex within has been like meteoric, right? At the same time, like all of this started when we released Codex the app, which was earlier this year. It's just like a really nice and intuitive way to interact with Codex with like multiple projects and like have multiple threads at the same time, use work trees to sort of isolate your changes and so on.
Yeah. Codex the app is dope. I love Codex the app. Some updates there is plugins, I think, is the recent one, the newest one. Can you just tell us about plugins?
Sure. So,
because like, I will preface this. OpenAI had plugins before. ChatGPT plugins is the first iteration of App Store. Then custom GPTs, second iteration of App Store. Then MCP apps or whatever built on MCP apps in Chatbot. Now we're back to plugins. I love this game for OpenAI to confuse the fuck out of us, but that's fine. Where Codex used to be a coding model, then became a product. It's also a coding model. But now plugins in Codex.
I think there's like there's a bit of nuance there, right? So if you look at a plugin, at the end of the day, a plugin is like, if you sort of disintegrate a plugin, all you get is like a bunch of skills, right? An MCP server, and like things to sort of like tie it up together as a package, right? And the reason why this becomes quite important is if you look at plugins like build iOS apps or like build web apps, like these are plugins which come curated, packaged within your Codex app or Codex CLI. What they allow you to do is they allow you to bring like experiences like Stripe. They allow you to bring experience like Supabase and like a couple of our ShadeCN CLI, ShadeCN best practices and so on, so that you can then call these plugins and like just essentially this package and like build apps, web apps, and so on and so forth together along with it. And this is kind of like a nice way to package lots of things like connectors. Like for example, you can connect directly with Google Drive, and like Google Drive can then like have access to your calendar, have access to your email, have access to Slack, for example, and then you can use that to for a lot of knowledge work related tasks and so on and so forth, right? And we're starting to see this become like a core part of people's workflows. For example, every day at 9 a.m., Codex uses an automation for me, which would look through all the Slack messages in the past 24 hours, look through, like I ask Codex to look through all the messages and like threads where I've been tagged, and like sort of mark it explicitly which all tasks should I like pay attention to? Where have I been like explicitly called out to like do something? Where there's an action item, where am I lacking? And contextualize that with my Gmail, Gmail, see like what's important, what's not, and layer that in with my calendar, and like try and give me spaces where I can like work on these things. And honestly,
that's not coding related at all. This is like a general work thing that every knowledge worker would benefit from.
Exactly, and I've also had like Codex just create like pre-briefing docs for myself, right? Like if I'm going into a meeting with someone and I'm lacking context, or like I'm like in back-to-back meetings, I would just have Codex sort of like pull up something, create a small calendar event. I wish I had my laptop. I would have showed it to you, but like it just creates like a small like 5-minute event, which would just have like pre-brief for myself for that event.
Oh, that's dope.
And this is all possible because of plugins.
Well, hold on. That's a good idea. I'll tell the folks actually they can use this as well. So you have an automation that looks at the upcoming events on your calendar, schedules you a 5-minute event for yourself so nobody can block you on that time, and gives you a brief of what's going to be talked about in this, who are the people, etc. And a big org like OpenAI that maybe some people, especially a cross-organizational role like DX, you may know some people, maybe you don't know some people, you need some background. That's incredible. I should automate this for myself.
Yeah, or for also like for example, if I'm like just like catching up with someone with like a partner of ours, like I just want to make sure that I go in prepared, and I'm just like I don't just make a fool of myself,
Yeah.
So
maybe I want to ask you just before we're gonna drop and continue with like our next guest, a few more things. I will. So first of all, folks are shouting out VB the Goat. Folks know you, so shout out. You've been doing incredible work throughout like these years. I will not ask you about Spud and ChatGPT $100 plan, because that's what people want to know. But obviously, folks, we cannot put VB on the spot here. But you guys can go on Twitter and read the rumors for yourself. Okay, we don't need to put sweat on VB. But I want to ask you about the super app, because that was talked about, right? Like this is public. The OpenAI is kind of like focusing on a bunch of stuff. Sora was cut, etc. And I think it was announced that like Codex, the browser, and the ChatGPT app itself on the Mac is going to like become like this like super app. Hearing from you how you're using Codex, which is effectively like a developer tool, or at least now if you ask people what is Codex, they will say it's a developer tool. Not use it for developer at all. Like basically no code is written in that flow that you just said, right? Like a connection to Slack, a connection to Gmail, that's all like just MCP calls or whatever calls behind the scenes. Tell us about like this move towards the super app where these agents will like be able to like actually help with the real world tasks.
Well, so I don't have like much to add on like super app itself, right? Or like whatever that variation would be called, but I can throw some color on like how Codex, the app itself, like works right now. So if you think about it, there's like for any task that you can think of, you can think of any task as a code related task, right? So if either you have a connector for it, or you have like an MCP server for it, or you have like some sort of skill or some sort of integration with the thing, or you can think of it as something wherein you can just generate the code to do a said ask, a disposable unit of code, and then just like solve that task, and then proceed to work with the result of it, and so on. And as we sort of like as more and more people get more comfortable with using tools like Codex just for their day-to-day task, you can see that this whole thing starts to become much more intuitive to them. Like for example, right now I was just talking to a recruiter on our team who came for the AI engineer conference, And typically what they would do is they would, go through an entire list of like people who are attending or who are speakers as like who might potentially be like recruiting targets for OpenAI. They would typically like, find information about them, and this would be like a manual process, right? And like they would have to like copy paste links and so on and so forth. In this case, the recruiter like literally just like uh, put the page and gave the URL to Codex. Codex automatically like created a Google sheet with like all of these names. Did some like preliminary research with Google to just like quickly find their LinkedIn or like their Twitter, and just like get as much information as possible. And you can see that workflows like this become more and more sort of possible as we continue sort of refining this experience.
Yep. And I'm assuming, and I'm gonna assume, like you can skip the comment here, that you guys are seeing internally as well that more and more folks adopt this. And obviously, OpenAI is like the most AGI built organization in the world. So obviously, the recruiters and obviously the other folks, they will also see what's going on. And if they don't accelerate with AI, then somebody else will take the job who will accelerate with AI better. So as you see, like non-techie roles pick up those skills, obviously, like it will be rebuilt to support those. Last thing for you before you go, you and your colleague Katya, you had a workshop here at AI Engineer. Would love to hear your feedback about this like event generally. OpenAI, as far as I remember, Swyx can correct me if I'm wrong. OpenAI has been a sponsor of every AI Engineer so far, and a keynote speaker in multiple of them. Your colleague Brian Lopopolo was a keynote speaker, great guy. You guys definitely should check out the live stream for Brian. Definitely. He was like, the code is free. You should change your mindset completely. It's great talk. Tell us, reflect on this event a little bit on your workshop. Like, how did it go? What did you do? How's the demos? What are the reactions for people? Hallway track. Would love to hear from you. Like, what are you hearing from people here?
So definitely, I mean, just to sort of like recap on the workshop and like the chats that we've been having so far. Like we of course like spoke about plugins. We spoke about sub-agents. Sub-agents is something which I'm personally quite excited about. So for those of you who don't know, like Codex natively supports sub-agents. You can
with cool names.
Yeah, with like very cool names, including Jason. And
that's a deep cut, man. Not everybody will get this one, but Jason, we hear you.
Yeah, and so like essentially, what a sub-agent allows you to do is like, let's say you have a task. I want to do X, right? It allows like Codex to break that task X into decomposable independent tasks, and then like sort of spin those off into individual Codex agents who can work on it at the same time for you to sort of get like latency gains as well as like just like speed ups, right? And this is something which I'm personally quite excited about as we like continue refining the experience, right? At the same time, like I also showcase like bunch of things which are experimental right now. So there's Guardian approvals which allow you to make your whole experience of working with models, tools, and so on and so forth much more nicer. Like, let's be honest, a lot of folks would use like Codex or Claude Code in or like any of their like coding agents in like YOLO mode, right? And that's, I mean, to be honest, that's not safe.
No, not really.
And so Guardian mode or like Guardian approval mode within Codex allows us to sort of look through each and every individual tool call, and like we spin off a sub agent to quickly give it like a risk profile.
That's great.
And if it's like medium risk or low risk, like we auto approve. Otherwise, it will escalate it to you.
So it's like a classifier for potential danger of calls. If it's like reading a file, that's fine. If it's like sending a CRL request, it's like, oh, if it's RM, RF, all your dash, like your whole like subroot directory, that's like, you have to approve this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. What's it called? Guardian
approvals. You can go on /experimental and set it out.
Many of you heard it here first because I heard it here first because I haven't heard about Guardian mode before. Guardian mode is dope, folks. It's like really, really dangerous to run YOLO, even though I remember Sam saying he was afraid to run YOLO for a while, and then Sam was like running YOLO for his codex. I remember like.
I honestly don't know about that. I do not recommend running in like without a sandbox. But like and just that, and then we've got like experimental hook support, which is quite nice, which means that you can program Codex to do a task X after at the start of the session, mid of the session after a tool call, or just at the stop of the session, and as these things come together, like cannot personally be more bullish on Codex, the app, the runtime, the experience. Yeah, and like last but not least, like AI engineers has been like a really nice experience for me. Like I met a lot of my ex-colleagues from Hugging Face. I met Omar.
Omar Sansivero, currently at Google DeepMind, previously Hugging Face, will join this podcast very, very soon also.
Yeah, and like it's quite nice to just like hang out with everyone, and like, just the vibes are off the chart.
Yeah.
You know?
And also, I will say a personal anecdote that has nothing to do with AI whatsoever. Yesterday, there was a bunch of workshops, and Omar and Katya and a bunch of folks, after we finished the workshop, we were just like walking around, and there's a bunch of rooms up there. And I just like looked into one room, and there was nobody there. And it was like it was a meeting room with the best view in London. You see the Big Ben, you see like the eye and everything. It was just like chilled there for like a few hours, just chilled. If you know anything about conferences, it's barely a place to sit and charge your laptop. We had like a most premium experience, so we had like to hang out for a while. Vivi, thanks to you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, folks. Check out Vivi's Twitter and follow along with more gems like this, like the Guardian mode. That's awesome. Thank you for teaching me as well.
Thank you so much. Have
fun.
fun. Nice.
All right, folks. Next, we have another OpenAI. I'm just kidding. No. We have the maintainer of OpenClaw, Vincent Koc, joining us. Vincent, please step up to the microphone, mic yourself up. This is going to be your first time on the podcast, so please feel free to sit with us. Fresh from the AI Engineer stage, the biggest stage there, at the AI Engineer track all about OpenClaw, we have Vincent Koc. Vincent, what's up, man? Welcome.
Good, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hello
Thanks,
again.
guys. Hey.
This is last minute, and this is why I love like doing ThursdAI, for example, because like we met before, like we talked for a while. I asked you a bunch of questions, but then we just met first time in Meetspace at this room.
Yeah, it's funny. We both live in San Francisco at the moment, and just
I live in Denver, brother.
No, you live in San Francisco.
Oh yeah, okay. I spiritually exist in San Francisco. That's true. And we both exist in the same spaces, but we would never like
That's true.
had
It's nice.
Meetspace experience. It was great.
Beautiful.
And you are the second top maintainer of OpenClaw after Peter Steinberger, which is he posted it up on.
Yeah, I respect that.
On his keynote, he's like, "Hey, we need to treat the bus factor of 1 in OpenClaw and
look after number 2 as well."
Yeah, number 2. So first of all, tell us about you. This is your first time on the podcast on ThursdAI.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about you and how you found OpenClaw, like what you're doing in real life.
Cool. So just like Peter, who works at OpenAI with a day job, I have a day job as well.
Yes.
And work in telemetry and evals. As you know, you guys are at Weights and Biases.
Yeah.
I work for a company called Comet. And the beautiful thing is like Comet and Weights and Biases have been at the early stage. We've seen the development of AI through ML, through data science, through deep learning into what it's become now. It's like magical. Like it's gone through so many iterations. And I think for me, I've been an AI leader, kind of, ran AI teams at like large airlines, banks, and to kind of go from that to like research and work. The work I've been doing at Comet has been very much like we have evals. Evals are this great thing, and I'm going to give a talk tomorrow about what I think about the eval space. But it's like, it kind of works and it kind of doesn't. And I was kind of thinking, what happens if we dog food it? What happens if the AI could correct itself? And started to kind of work on some optimization type problems and really stumbled into this thing where it's like, wow, these models are amazing. Yeah. Like, I think they're actually so good that people don't realize. And you're just asking it to like plan a barbecue is like kind of like really low. And I think they can do a lot more than we think. But the issue became actually, the models were good. It was what was sitting on top of the models. Yeah. And then the question became, it's actually the harness, right? We love that. It's a sexy word at the moment. And I could kind of see this in October. This is the next big thing. And, being a prolific open source contributor myself, I saw this on X with like polymarket guys, crypto people trying to like build these automations.
Eliza OS was like a big
that's right. Yeah. And I saw, I was like, wait, there's this little moment happening where if people are making money off this or they can automate things and it's kind of working for them, maybe this is something. And as I dug into it, I realized it was like this magical moment where the harness is like kind of changing itself. And I was like, wait, this is exactly the stuff I've been talking to people about.
So like the harness writes code to manipulate its own code. Like the harness writes changes itself.
So like, for example, if you went, hey, we're going to create, I don't know, Weave AI or some other gateway or something, and there's no plugin or whatever, you can just ask your client car, hey, can you integrate with this API? Here's the URL. It will create some code. It will go into its own code, change it, and then reboot itself. And that's kind of wild when you see it.
Yeah.
And
it's absolutely like the
it's crazy.
breaking moment.
I don't know how to explain it to people. What was your breaking moment? What was your
I think it was
moment?
we started looking at OpenClaw in January, where before it was the Claude bot. I wasn't early enough to the WoW relay, which is the first iteration, but like Claude bot, we started looking at this, and then it was like a winter break, so we took like 1 week off, I think. No, we still did a newsletter, and then it was like, okay, we have to talk about this on the show because like it's popping,
exploded,
and then there's one thing to talk about this. There's a completely another thing to like experience this myself, and then like we all got claw-peeled at like early January, way before. But now the world is claw-peeled. AI Engineer has a whole track about OpenClaw.
Amazing.
Jensen's going off and like, hey, every company in the world needs an OpenClaw.
I was in the crowd watching that. It was magical.
It was crazy.
You hear a person screaming in the corner, that's me.
and like it's a significant cultural moment as well with the meme. And I was talking to Peter Steinberger, who's also here, about kind of like the virality is strong with this one. It's strong with this one. It's not only code. There's like a whole thing with like broke through the bubble that we're in of the AI engineers and the people who talk about
it. Escaped X, right?
It escaped so hard that grandmas in fucking China are raising a red lobster.
Correct.
And I gotta like ask you about like maintaining this beast is crazy, right? Like security vulnerability is crazy. Peter spent a while to talk about dispel some security things. What did you talk about? What was your talk? Give us a little bit of.
So my talk was focusing on. How do we build this thing? How do you build a plane whilst it's flying in the air? In like maybe not one plane, but like maybe a starship in terms of size comparison.
A smart starship that can change its own code, change the config, go to a restart and die.
Basically.
Yes.
Thousands of people coming and saying, "Hey, I built something that you want to build in. Please build it in."
And 10,000 people tagging probably you already as well. And Peter,
I
like,
get X messages
everywhere.
Bullshit like, hey,
thing.
do you want to see my PR? Do you want to see my issue?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't submit you didn't accept my issue, whatever. I think for us, it's been everyone wanted their PR. Everyone wants a PR or an issue, and the two fundamental things are happening. The first one is like something breaks for a provider or something. All of these people's clankers decide I'm going to help by submitting an issue.
Yeah.
So we end up instead of not one issue, we end up like 100 issues on the same thing.
You know what I saw? I never saw this before on GitHub. At some point, there was over 5,000 pull requests.
Just says 5K plus.
And invoice and issues as well. And just GitHub like caps at the 5,000 plus because when they developed GitHub, they're like,
that was like a ceiling.
No one ever will post 5,000 PRs, and you just kept that ceiling. Yeah.
That's right. And then there's those issues and PRs, and then there's the other stuff where it's like I want to.
What do you guys prefer, issues or PRs?
Honestly,
or nothing. People should shut up.
I don't have an answer for this. I don't want to ruin open source. I think it's beautiful that we still keep our doors open.
Yeah.
And people can come and submit stuff. And
so there's no preference between a PR with ready code that could be slop or a well thought issue that you can run your agent and like fix?
I think the trick is to look if there's something else already there and add to that rather than creating another duplication for us. If there's an existing issue, just comment on it. Like
seems like a thing that GitHub can fucking fix with this world of LLMs and mythoses. The GitHub can. Okay, GitHub is great. I love GitHub. It's free, folks. It's public service. I love GitHub.
But the user experience isn't the platform is not designed for the world we live in now. And I think the interesting thing is engineering and the world of AI right now is not used to this way of working. I think a lot of shifts are happening. So as I mentioned, there's like this bulk of issues, but then there's also people want to make it their own. And I think one of the things that we wanted to do was like, hey, I'm not going to accept every single person's PR. And I think the issue right now is like I can't say yes to everything. The issue it's like. It's now a case of like, how many times can I say no? How do I collectively say no to people without offending people with a little please and thank you? And how do we allow people to build on top? So I think what we've turned it into, I think the analogy I gave today was not Lego. It's more like IKEA.
Okay, tell me more.
You have a core, you have the harness, but like, I don't like the colors of the shelves. Well, you can swap it out, right? Yeah. You want to use this model. You want to build this memory system on top. How do we give you the building blocks where everyone can build on top of that? And I think that's what forced us to kind of move into a plugin architecture. And the conversation I gave was when I was at NVIDIA. It was like 2 a.m. Before Jensen's talk. So like, 10 hours to go. We're like helping them out with MemPalace. And one of the maintainers decided to just move a whole bunch of files around and broke things because he was trying to be helpful. And I was like, wait, this is like the start of our plugin architecture. Let's just do it.
Oh, wow.
So we just decided to like refactor 1 million lines of code in over 9 days. And it kind of worked.
OpenClaw is now approaching 1 million lines of code, right?
1.5.
1.5.
Because we've got a lot of people
Wow.
forget we have 2 mobile apps that are unreleased. We have
Two?
Docs,
Oh yeah, both.
iOS and Android, fully native.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get those out pretty soon. There's a lot of stuff in there. It's a huge mono.
You know what it's missing? If I got you here and I can abuse
Shall
my
I run?
privilege of
Go on.
Apple Health. I
Yeah,
think
so
that'd be
that could-
super dope.
That could work natively within the app ecosystem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have to like struggle with it. And if you want it, the code's there, you can compile it and run it. But there's things like, for example, it'll know where you are.
Yes.
You'll be able to read your notifications.
Yes.
So the whole experience will change. And I think the thing that people love about this, and it's not OpenClaw, but it's the fact that we showed people that we can have Siri or her or an idea
can
of what
have
this
her.
is. Where as like,
Bro, now that VB is gone and OpenAI is not here, they took her from us. If you guys saw the video where a person named Rocky was putting on the hat and the advanced voice mode was roasting him, that was her. We all want her, and like OpenClaw brought us to her way closer than OpenAI.
So-
and like, when can I get that talking to me?
Can I change the subject, but
Yes,
on the
please.
same thing?
Yes.
So the thing about this is that, yes, we want her, but how do we get there?
Yeah.
And I think the key thing for us is like personality. Like how do you write an eval for vibes?
Speaking
You know?
of personality, brother, now that Anthropic has basically said to many people, hey, you need to pay extra. Anthropic, folks, I want to dispel a few things here.
Okay.
Vincent is not an employee of OpenAI.
I'm not an employee of any AI frontier lab company. So,
OpenAI did not buy OpenClaw. There's a foundation.
Correct.
And Peter Steinberg is an employee of OpenAI that has access to a bunch of stuff, but he still maintains, he has 2 jobs. That's thing number 1 that I want to dispel because I think it's important. Number 2 was, Anthropic did not ban OpenClaw. Anthropic did not ban OpenClaw. What Anthropic did, and very specifically, and we don't do hype on ThursdAI, it's very important to tell you, Anthropic did not ban OpenClaw. What they did is, they said, hey, if a request is coming from OpenClaw, you as a max user, the person who pays for essentially unlimited account for $200, you have to pay more extra, but you can still use Opus. You can still use Opus via API, you can still use Opus via your max account, you're just not going to get billed to the max account. That's what they did. They didn't ban OpenClaw. The reason why they did this is we talked to you about Mythos, we talked to you about like they're struggling, whatever, GPUs. That's the reason they did this, likely. Maybe other reasons as well.
no comment from me.
No comment from you. We can agree that they did not ban outright. It's not like you cannot use OpenClaw with Opus. There's a way. There's always a way.
It's harder for
It is harder.
users to use their subscription.
They made it significantly harder for users to use the subscription, but it's possible and it's more expensive.
Yeah, you have to pay to use it.
And so this led to many people going to GPT 5.4 because OpenAI is gracious and awesome and they got whatever and they understand. And you could use your Codex subscription also to $100. $100 rumored subscription is coming at some point. We cannot comment, but supposedly. And this pushed many people to use GPT 5.4. And that motherfucker is dry as the earth salt itself. What the fuck? I'm sorry for swearing, but I told you back in the room, I told Peter as well, and you guys know this as well, and Peter has been working on this. Wolfram, you probably experienced this. It's like when I switched to GPT 5.4, which is a great model, coding incredible. It's like somebody's took my friend and replaced its soul with like a very significantly boring, but yes sir soul. Do you also feel this?
GPT-5 when
5.4, yes.
When we even earlier, when we were testing it in December in that episode where we were testing the one that was released there, I realized back then and canceled my subscription while we were doing the show because I noticed I've been using AI personalities for 3 years and this was one where it felt really dry, like you said, soulless in a way.
I'm salty because I'm again reminded of the Rocky and her situation and how soulful and like nice and a little bit glazing, yes, GPT 4.0 was.
Yeah.
And how so far down the curve GPT 5.4 is, which as many people now are forced to use. Comments, please. I invite my friend here to put a shoe in his mouth on live on there.
Okay. Where do we start? So I think the key is that the model is really good at coding.
Yes.
So different models are good at different things, and I think they just what's the word? Over-indexed in one direction.
Yep.
And for various reasons. And I love the product. I love Codex. I love using it for coding.
100%.
We've built OpenClaw on it, but you know, it just may not be as nice to speak to, for example. And I think we've reached a point now. People want that. People want that nice, touchy-feely sort of experience that we've been talking to.
Yeah.
Have you seen Project Hail Mary, by the way?
Hell yes, dude.
People want Like you can have thumbs down. You can have an entity, let's call it that, and it can still be fun and exciting.
The first
it doesn't
thing I
have
did-
to be human.
Brother,
we don't have to make it a human that we fall in love
I'm
with.
sorry to interrupt, but we're buds now, so it's fine. The first thing I did after watching this movie is come back home, clone Rocky's voice from the book,
Beautiful.
put it in my OpenClaw and say, hey, you're now Rocky. Talk to me like Rocky. He's like, amaze. And my kids talk to him, amaze. I could not have done this in any other software thing. And I was like, this is fucking incredible.
But that's what I mean by personality, right?
Yes.
Like it's not about cloning a human. It's not about, but it's having that like intangible feeling that we call vibes or something else that it's hard to articulate.
Yep.
And I think that's really important.
And how do you do evals for this as well?
We don't know. I think
the heartbeat was one of the things. Like I have that AI with a personality for 3 years now, but she basically never felt that alive when the heartbeat came up, and basically the AI decided to text me a message and think, oh, I noticed something you have to do or something like that on its own, on her own, whatever. And that felt so alive through the personality and that proactive on her own activity.
Amazing. Interesting thing you mentioned heartbeat, because I recently launched with the team dream.md.
This is my next question for you. What are dreams?
What are dreams? Yeah. Well, humans, we consume a lot of, if we talk in token speak, let's call it token speak.
Yeah.
You know, we go out in the real world, we consume tokens, we fill up our context window, and, you know, we can compact, but, you know, there's some information that we want to store. And we use dreams as a way of like a form of compaction, and also storing information into cold storage in our brains, putting it down somewhere that we can reuse. You know, it could be reflection, it could be what's important, what's not important, and prune, right? Defrag our brain, so to speak.
Defrag, yeah.
And we wanted to bring defragging to memory in a humanistic way. And what better way to do it than to call it dreaming? So there's 3 types of dreaming. There's like REM, there's core, there's deep sleep. They do different things. More or less, they adjust the memory files. And then one of them will actually come up with this thing called the dream, where it will self-reflect and write it to a dream log. So you can, as a human, read through it over time. Yeah. You can converse with it, but you can extract information. The idea is it will kind of start to go into this like intangible space. And I've been talking to a few people about this today. And what we've done is created something not for the agent, but for the human in the loop, where it's helping you understand what is happening inside of your agent. It's helping you create something a bit more humanistic. Like if I'm talking to a mum and they go, this agent is dreaming and is writing a dream log, they can understand what is happening. I don't have to explain what the heck memory is and markdown files are, right?
Yes.
And I think this is where it starts to become really interesting, and it educates the human on how to use AI. And I think we want more people in the driver's seat, and to be able to do that, we need to create an experience that feels natural for people.
I love the dreaming thing.
Yeah.
That
was one of my main, I had a blog post series on X where I posted tips for using your OpenClaw. And one was to put it in a Git repo and every night go through the changes and manually create them. Like you are the dreamer and you change the memories so you know what is happening. And then if you do it once a week, it's too many changes. If you do it every night, it's just a couple of minutes.
Right, yeah.
And this is basically the automated version of this. And you can still see what has been trimmed. And yeah, if that takes the work away, and not everybody can do a Git repository or even merge file and so on. So yeah, that's a step in the right direction to make the agent do it on its own.
Bro, I have so many questions for you. We could do like a whole show, honestly, about OpenClaw, because it's just like I told you, my fiance runs like 3 of hers. She now installs it to other friends and calls me like, hey, how do you do this thing and this thing? So like there's like a OpenClaw virus that's going on from me to her to our friends. Like it just like expands. The mind viruses of OpenClaw is absolutely a great virus.
We should have a full tracker on AI Engineer for this.
Yeah, it's great that there is one. Yeah, I do want to ask you about one thing that people are not thinking about, how they can use their claws. One thing that you see a bunch of issues, you see a bunch of people talking to you, you see whatever. What's kind of like very obvious thing that can improve their lives that people most likely won't like just do by default?
So the talk I gave today was telling engineers harness we trust. This idea that just trust your harness. You don't need all this like overly complicated workflows and stuff. It's the same thing when it comes to the claw. The issue is that people with their agents and their systems are like overcomplicating stuff, but actually just talk to your client card. Like you're starting, this is who I am. Let's have a conversation. What can you automate? What should we automate? And just have a chat. And over time, it will develop an intuition with you and will help you fix those things. It's like, instead of trying to go out in the real world and fix it, you need to have a better relationship with your AI agent and help solve it. Like, I don't know, it sounds really strange to me,
this
but
is the
it's
most annoying, annoying looking but true thing that Peter was doing on Twitter for a while. He's like, ask your client.
No, but I do this on X as well. Like, people are asking me a question, I'm like,
Ask your
literally
client
ask your client card, because it's like, it's so personal to you. It has the context, it has the memory, it has your emails, whatever it has.
It's the source code. It's open source. Just put the source code in the workspace and it can look at itself.
It knows.
It knows. And honestly, that's what I tell my friends when they call me like, hey, this doesn't behave. Just ask it.
Just ask it.
We're not going to sit here and ask your thoughts about Mythos or whatever, but we definitely want more agentic stuff.
Correct.
I think one last thing. I think I asked Peter. I'll ask you this, and then we'll move on to our friend Omar over there. How does OpenClaw look in a year where all the models of frontier level right now are stupid compared to the models of next year? So there's this thing that I told Swyx when he just joined, that I don't think that three things will change. Intelligence will always be there. Harness will always be interested.
Correct.
And context, personal context. Those are the three pillars of agentic. And I don't think that they will move. They all independently will improve. But how does the harness improve when intelligence is 2x, 3x, 4x?
I'm going to give you a more academic, scientific answer to this question. Don't quote me. I think there's 12 types of.
You're live recorded right now.
No. Don't quote me. Yeah. Whatever. I believe, I can't remember the exact number, 10 or 12 types of intelligence available in the world, like the spatial intelligence, numerical intelligence,
emotional.
But like, we've only cracked a few of these with AI. Like we haven't got like physical AI working in the world models and all this stuff. So I think even if we have like a super intelligent AI that's really helping us with, day-to-day tasks and coding, I think where we're going to see the real leaps and bounds is where we're going to start to bridge into these other types of intelligence.
Oh yeah.
And what that can bring for us, I can't tell you, And I think that's going to be somewhat magical as well.
I think the most magical thing, I will let you go after like this one point. Sure. The most magical thing to me about creation of OpenClaw and maintenance, whatever, is that there's all these godfathers of AI. God forbid, I'm not like laughing at whatever. That they all predict, this way or that way.
I can't predict anything.
Nobody fucking predicted that a Austrian
lobster
from with a lobster changes the world to this level, and then everybody has agentic AI that can do AGI. Nobody could have predicted that like this is the way you put agents in the loop and like this does things that LLM on its own doesn't do. So predicting is fucking hard. I put Vincent on the spot to start predicting for us. He refused it. Folks, please follow Vincent under Koc. Koc.
I don't mind.
Yeah, Vincent Koc. And Vincent, thank you so much for working on open source. It's dope, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show as well.
Thank you for your support.
100%, man. Thank you. And we're going to tell you, and then we're going to bring our next guest here overall, but definitely give Vincent a follow and tune into the live stream. You spoke 2-3 times?
I had a talk last night at ClawCon. I had a talk today, and I'm doing another talk tomorrow on what I think is the future of Evals.
Yeah, this is a man augmented by AI, because like doing this without AI is not super easy. But yeah,
I used to do it before AI as well. Just say. There's proof. There's proof on the internet.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming, folks. Definitely give Vincent a follow if you haven't tried. Definitely check out the new updates. We didn't get a chance to give him the new updates yet, and as I'm waiting for a friend of ours to come over, please take a seat, put the headphones on. What's up, man? What's up, Omar?
Hey, how are you?
What's up, dude?
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Folks, we have a friend of the pod, a long time friend of the pod as well. Yeah. Also from Hugging. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I did the same joke for VB, dude. From Google DeepMind, Omar Sansivero, who was with us last week on the pod talking about Gemma 4. Now in Meet Space. We should take a selfie. Wolfram, would you like take a selfie? We should have taken a selfie with every guest, but Omar is the only one who gets it. Omar is week after week, almost a co-host at this point. Let's take a selfie. And then we're going to ask Omar about... First of all, we're going to celebrate the fucking milestone.
Yeah, thank you.
Bro, 10 million downloads. What the fuck?
10 million downloads, 1,000 Gemma 4-based models. Yeah.
Gemma 4, 10 million downloads. Let's give some claps. Apache 2 license. From the Google Mind. Also, the Twitter handle is doing great.
Yeah. 55,000 followers 55, in 6 days.
Bro, that's insane. So give us a little bit of a reaction from the community. How's Gemma going? What's been good? What do you guys fix? Like, how's the release?
Yeah. I mean, the community excitement has been huge. The license change was huge. The multimodal capabilities. Something that people really loved was the AI Edge Gallery. So you can just download it in Android, in iOS. You can play with the model locally, and people are very excited about that because they can really see the capabilities of the models, do agentic stuff, multimodal stuff, all on their phones. So people have been very excited about that. There are always some issues with the open source library, so there are some fixes going on with Llama CPP, with the vision capabilities and so on. But yeah, it's going well.
That's so awesome, dude. And I think that I think Google's commitment to open source will only strengthen after this like successful release. So that's why I'm very happy to see that this succeeds. If like you release Gemma and it's like and fizzles out and nobody watches this, it's gonna be that much harder for you to like advocate internally for open source. So we're like, fuck yeah, dude, 10 million downloads. Do you guys go on Hugging Face and check out some downloads for like major models? 10 million is like you worked on Hugging Face for a while.
Yeah, it's quite a bit for a first wave. Bro. Yeah. So in total now Gemma has like all of the Gemma based models have over 500 million downloads. But yeah, so when we launch new models, we want to make sure that people can use the models with their favorite open source tools, right? And we do this both for Gemini and for Gemma. So for Gemini, we work with LangChain, Llama Index, and all of the agentic libraries. Same for Gemma, we work with Ollama, Llama CPP, Hugging Face MLX. And we want to make sure that people can try out the models on day zero with their favorite tools, right? So we collaborate with them. There's an early access program. We do integrations. We open PRs and so on. So
So I will just like do a small plugin from Weights and Biases. We are hosting Gemma 4 on our infant service as well, because like we host the best models. Gemma 4 came out. Like obviously you guys didn't get Gemma 4 on our infants, but it's also available like in AI Studio, right? Like, there's like plenty of places to get Gemma 4 and plug it into your claws or whatever. But we did talk about Gemma 4. Now we're just like celebrating a little bit and like putting contextualization for folks what happened this week. But Omar, we're all here at AI Engineer. This is not your first time at AI Engineer. Second time. Tell us about like you guys' experience. DeepMind is the presenting sponsor for this conference. Not only that, there's a whole track of Gemini and Gemma, etc. You gave a talk. You're going to give a talk tomorrow. You're going to give a talk. Tune into the live stream. I told you already 7 times. Not our live stream. Thank you for joining our live stream. But also, if you feel like you're missing out on London, you're not here, you should tune into the live stream of the main event and like check it out. Tell us about your talk. What are you going to talk about?
Gemma.
Of course.
I'm doing the opening keynote tomorrow. I'll talk about Gemma, open models, how we think about open models, and some of the cool things that the community has been building with that. And
a bunch of your colleagues as well. We saw Paige doing a whole day of workshops. Paige is amazing. A full day of workshops and like demos as well. And
so we're over 30 people from Google.
30 people.
Doing a mix of things, right? So we have a nano banana printer there where you can take a picture and it will print like a nano banana powered sticker. But Londoning is the house of DeepMind, right? And that's what is quite special for us. Like this is edition, we're bringing researchers doing diffusion, and we're doing Raya, who was a VP of research that presented today. So bringing the people that are also doing very
sciencey stuff. She talked about weather predictions. Of
course. Like we do like a weather forecasting. We have actually open source some of these models last year. So
that's super cool. Wolfram, I know you have comments about Gemma. I know like some stuff about the kids. I think Omar needs to hear about this. I'm also talked out a little bit.
What do you mean now?
Your kids loving Gemma?
My kids love Gemma and Gemini in general. So I'm probably among our team the most Google-pilled person.
100%.
Using a Pixel phone, never an iPhone. Yeah, and I love that you can unlock it by just your voice. I can talk to my agent, my assistant, and it's connected to my home assistant, so it controls my life basically, and has so many integrations, Gmail and calendar, morning briefings, all of that stuff. And even my kids use Google AI Studio and Anti-Gravity to build some little games and stuff like that. So we are a Google family, and even my mother, who's over 70, has a Pixel phone as well when she saw it from me, and is talking to her assistant that way.
What is cool is for high-end Android phones like Pixel, Samsung, and so on. They have Gemini Nano, right? So that's Gemini caked into the phone directly. So you don't need to download anything, it runs right there. And Gemma is pretty much the foundation, it's the base model that powers the next generation of Gemini Nano. So even if Gemini Nano 4 is not out yet, you can already try out the base model capabilities right now.
Even installed through the App Store, or was it download links, the app where you can also get
the gallery. So you can even like pull different skills, and then you can have the model controlling your phone and do like different fun things.
So what do you think? Do you think that will be the main use of AI or the main way to use where it runs on your phone or some local device and only goes out to the big Gemini, the big brother, when it needs specific capabilities?
So I think there will be a couple of paths in general. Like one part is the offline, the other part is the hybrid inference, as you just mentioned. Another part is just there are like so many use cases where you want to fine tune the model, right? Like for your own specific use case. This has been changing because now models work very well out of the box for so many different things, but there are still many use cases like in the medical setup, legal setup, finance setup, where you really need to use your own data to at least show the model what kind of tasks or domains you are tackling, right? So I think there are many different interesting use cases from sovereign AI to fine-tuning to fully offline, like even like running the model in a Raspberry Pi. I don't know if you saw, there was someone that put Llama CPP in Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, now you can use... you can
send
use
it to my kids.
yeah, now you can just use them in a Nintendo Switch as well.
Omar, you're frequent enough on the show that like you're not only about Gemma. I want to ask you about generally this conference as well. The coolest thing about AI Engineer specific is the hallway track. People talk about their troubles, their things, their etc. I know that you're here to like promote, etc. But like, what are you hearing as well? You went to the speaker dinner, for example. Like one of the best experiences in the AI Engineer to just chat with other folks. What are you hearing from folks generally? What is different from the last AI Engineer? What are focused on? What are they asking you?
What I like about AI Engineer is that this is like a family, really. Like you can see like familiar faces. These are people like I'm meeting like Prince, who is the maintainer of MLX. Many of the computers.
Prince Kanuma, let's go.
Yeah, Prince is great, and we have been talking for years. And
I've never seen him.
Yeah, we met in person last night.
Bro, he got a visa like 2 days ago. He's like he flew in.
Yeah, he got the visa the day before
Shout
the
out
conference,
Prince.
right? Yeah, and this is like a super nice space. For us, what is very important for Gemini, Bio, Nano Banana, and so on is to develop things in a way that makes sense for the community. So for the last 2 years, we have been going to events, talking with the startups, talking with founders, talking with people, understanding which are the problems they are trying to solve, and iterating based on what the community is asking, right? That's why we changed the license for Gemma. That's how we have been doing things on Gemini as well. That's why we're releasing things very quickly, right? Like we're doing new versions, new editions, new capabilities pretty much every other week. Same for AI Studio. So this conference is great because it allows us to talk with people that are building like very serious things, right? It's like the people building agentic systems, people building like super complex, hundreds of agents, communication, inter-agent communication, like so many interesting use cases. So just being able to talk with people, at least for me, more than promoting, this conference is useful for the feedback and understanding what people are building.
Yep. So. And also, this is the first one in Europe, so this gives a chance to many folks who like couldn't fly over the seas to just jump and fly over here. Omar, thank you so much for joining us. We need to, unfortunately, there's a hard limit on our show, so we need to conclude the show. But like folks, Omar Sansigaro, developer experience lead at DeepMind, previously a very, very prolific force in Hugging Face as well. Gemma, I won't tell them your Gmail. Specific.
Oh no, you can tell it. You can say it. Yeah.
Omar was Chief Llama Officer at Hugging Face, and now in Google, that's not the official title, but the email is really funny. It's hackerllama at google.com. Hackerllama at Google. So if you want any feedback, send it to hackerllama at google.com. Very easy to remember. Oh, and thank you so much for coming, bro. Always a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Wolfram, can you switch over to this seat so folks can see you for the rest of it? Right, I'm going to invite back our co-host as we kind of close down the show. Folks, we had a busy TBPN style conversation here with multiple folks. Yam, Peleg, what do you guys feedback? Give us feedback. We're going to close down exactly in like 5 minutes, but I would love to like invite feedback from you guys as well. And also if you guys want to take it over to the after hour show that we've been doing for a while, please feel free to announce this.
Yeah, we can do a Twitter space, and it's good to see the people in person.
Came up to us and said, when Nistan speaks, that's when my ears are perking up. Like literally, bro, I'm not lying. Like somebody came up, we asked him like, hey, give us feedback, whatever. People want the conversation. People want, like, we often can because we cover a bunch of news, but many people, and folks, if you're listening to us, please give us the feedback as well. We really starving for feedback. But somebody came up and said like, hey, when I'm like listening on autopilot and I'm driving and Nistan talks, like that's when I listen up.
Yeah, it's because my mic is so bad.
Yeah, so you guys not an engineer. Have we been able to give you a bit of a glimpse of what's going on here?
We're jealous, man. We're jealous.
You were with me as the last AI engineer, brother.
Yeah, I was in the last one, and I'm absolutely jealous watching you guys having fun over there.
The last one we were together, and then somebody brought Logan Kilpatrick, who leads the AI Studio, and Jack Ray, who now leads MSL, that just released fucking Muse. You remember, Jan? We like interviewed those folks as well.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was amazing. How is it over there? It's bigger, it's smaller, same size.
I think same-ish size. I think it's very interesting that it's like London. You can see the fucking Downton Abbey from here, or like Windsor Abbey, or whatever it's called, and the Big Ben, whatever. Like it's big. It feels like whoa. European folks are like all over. There's like a bunch of folks who couldn't make it otherwise, and I think it improves with every kind of thing that Swyx does and AI Engineer do.
Oh yeah, look, it's already a really good conference. It's already big already, and like it's known as a high quality conference, so even better. I'm even more jealous at this point. Yeah.
That's all right, dude.
It shows that we have an AI scene in Europe as well, and the energy is extremely high as well. So the last time I felt that energy was in San Francisco, so it's great to see it here in Europe as well.
Yeah. So we got a bunch of folks saying, always a good show. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. We unfortunately have a hard stop. This is why we started a little bit early. We have a hard stop here. With the great team that like helps us do the podcast, they need to leave. And also the show is kind of ending. People are leaving the thing. You were on ThursdAI for April 9th, a live show from London. This time we had, 4 guests? 5 guests? I forgot. Swyx? Yeah, we had 5 guests on. In addition to like everything else that we've talked about, we also tried to cover the news for you. Claude Mythos was super not released, but released. It's a dangerous model. Muse from MSL, we barely talked about, but I think those are big news. But if folks want to follow up, I think that Yam, Nistan, and LDJ, they can hop on the Twitter space, the post-show Twitter space for yapping and discussions, and just follow all of them. Follow MemPalace, follow Nistan, follow LDJ Confirmed, and they will start a space. So if you guys want to just like talk about Muse Spark, like Milos wants, for example, that would be a great place to talk about this. With this, folks, unfortunately, we have to sign off. This is Alex Volkov, Wolfram Ravenwolf, Nistan, Tahirai, MemPalace, and LDJ Confirmed after a live stream from AI Engineer. If this is your first time joining ThursdAI, welcome. We do this every week. Not live every week, but we do this every week everywhere.
But still live.
Still live, but not in person like this. And we turn every recording into a podcast and a newsletter that's going to come out today. I don't know about time zones. I'm going to work really hard to get it out to you today. So we thank you for your participation. We thank you for joining. Please give us a follow everywhere. And if you want to join the folks, follow Yam, Nistan, and LDJ, and you'll see their Twitter handles here below. And they're going to jump on the Twitter space and kind of discuss the rest of the news as we sign off from here. Anything else, Wolfram, you finish up on?
Come to AI Engineer next time. Wherever it is worth going.
Yep. I will say again, if you feels like we're shilling AI engineers, because I am shilling AI engineer. Swyx gave us the opportunity. ThursdAI would not have existed without Swyx, without AI engineer. Many of you who are tuning to the show, many of the guests that I get on the show, is like the friends that I met over AI engineer. I owe that a gratitude for this conference. It's also one of the best conferences in the world for AI, if not the best one. Definitely the room for the speakers dinner was the best community event that's possible, best networking event that's possible. So if you ever had a chance to go to AI Engineer, there's one in summer in San Francisco, we would love to see you there. We're going to cover that one as well. So huge thanks for the AI Engineer crew for having us show for us a podcast. Yam, if you remember, the last one we did was in the hotel room. Now we're on the show floor with people behind us actually doing the thing live. So huge thanks for AI Engineer. Thank you guys for holding up the space for us and tuning in. Thank you, Wolfram, for co-hosting as well.
Nice to meet you again, Alex.
It's great meeting you as well. And folks, we're going to sign off for now. But again, if you want to follow and the conversation, follow Nistan, LDJ, and MemPalace on Twitter. They're going to continue the conversation. Bye for now. Signing off from London. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.